For this blog assignment, you're going to be working with data. The data are quantitative data. It's relatively basic information. You'll see in a moment when I click over to that report. But there's a recent Urban Institute report that I've given you to work with. And so everyone has the specific set of instructions in your blog area. So you go to your group area, you click for blogs, and you'll see that I have posted this set of instructions. Reviewing the Urban Institute report, choosing one or more figures. They are graphs and maps in there, choosing one or more, and building your theory around it. Okay, I'm not reading these detailed instructions to you here. I know all of you can read, just pointing out some highlights. If you choose a relatively simple figure, you may be writing about each piece of it. But for the most part, for those figures with lots of numbers in them, you don't want to list them all out in your blog. That gets boring, and your blog should be friendly for a general audience. That is, anyone sort of searching the internet, if they could come across your blog, which they can't because it's in Blackboard, but if it were posted to the internet, anyone could read it and be interested and learn some things from it. I want you to write about the data, right? So I want you to look at these figures. Again, they're pretty basic graphs and maps, and I want you to compose the text. I don't want to see you quoting or repeating text from that Urban Institute report. And I'll show you what I mean again when we get to the report in a few minutes. You want to think carefully about the materials from week 6 through 9. Right? The course is cumulative. So of course you're going to be bringing in things, terminology, examples from weeks 1 through 5, but your focus here is on the experiences of adaptation and assimilation of immigrants. Right? So we're thinking about a lot about weeks 6 through 9, theories and evidence of experiences of these immigrants that we've read about. Okay, you need to incorporate these course concepts. You need to be referring to the articles. One of the big things that was missing from a lot of blog 1 was actually referencing the articles, right? Even when I saw people really clearly referring to stuff, they were failing to put those parentheses with the author's name and date. That's really important for giving credit to the source. When you're using these concepts, you need to be thinking about how to explain them, again, to a general audience, a reader who is not familiar with the scholarship that you are now familiar with. You need to apply the concepts accurately, right? Don't just throw some words out there to put them in. That's going to make you lose points more than help you at all. So you want to make sure that you're being specific and clear. I give some examples here. I don't really just want to see the word assimilation hanging out there by itself, right? We have qualified that word in a number of ways. If we're thinking about theories, is it classical assimilation theory, also known as the straight line assimilation model? Are you talking about segmented assimilation perspective with upward assimilation, downward assimilation, partial assimilation, right? Are we thinking about complete assimilation, linguistic, socioeconomic, and so on? I list a bunch of examples here, but you should be picking up on them in the readings for the last several weeks. So again, you want to be really specific. I don't want to just hear you talking about immigrants and calling everyone immigrants, right? We're a nation of immigrants. Still, a lot of the population is very far removed from that immigrant experience, as you would understand from the readings on the third and the third plus generation, how things have happened with earlier European immigrants. So make sure that you're being clear, make sure that you're being specific, and make sure that you're being accurate in how you use those course concepts. I have that list of do's and don'ts. I'll point to them in a second for you, but they were posted back in January. They're blog post examples that you had in the Blogging with Theory folder, right? So those of you who didn't write that first blog may want to go back to those. I repeated one in the Blogging with Data folder. I may find some more before the week is up. These just give you different examples of how to approach the blog, but everyone's blog should have a thesis. Right? Not something vague like some immigrants experience assimilation but maintain their culture. That's too broad, okay? Your thesis is based on those figures that you choose out of the Urban Institute report. So it really should be something more specific. Now, I don't want to give any examples because I don't want to see people just writing the thesis of the examples that I give. But that doesn't mean that you can't get help if you're unsure, unclear about your thesis statement. You can always email me and say, this is what I'm thinking about for my thesis. And I can say, that sounds good, or that's still a little bit vague. Please tell me what you're thinking about this. Or to make it more specific, why don't you look at this article by these people? Something like that. You can get feedback, you can get help. Of course, it's very hard to if you're waiting till the last minute to do the assignment. In general, you don't want to do that though. You want to get started early, not only so you can get help, but so you have time to do things like proofread and edit. Okay, so I don't want MS Word documents attached for your blog. I want the blogs pasted into the box, and you'll see that that's what your classmates did on blog 1 if you're somebody who didn't do it. Right, going back to earlier blogs, you can go back and see what your classmates, your group mates did for their blog 1, and going back to the very first or second thing posted there is my list of do's and don'ts, the general guidelines for writing blogs. Okay, not a summary of readings. That's not what I'm looking for. I have this list of do's and don'ts, and make sure that you're doing 1 through 3 here and not doing 1 through 3 down here. And again, when you go to course materials by topic, we have this folder called Blogging with Data. The first thing in the folder is that Urban Institute report that I've been talking about. If you use Firefox as recommended, you don't have to go through these 10 steps to open a PDF, but I'm having a problem with my Firefox browser, so I right now am working in Chrome, and it makes you go through lots of steps there. So my screen is cutting off a little bit here, but you can see this is a March 14th, 2019 report put out by an organization called the Urban Institute, and they talk about these graphs and figures throughout. But again, what I want you to do is to make your own text, do your own writing about them, right? I don't necessarily want to hear that 53.4 million children have only U.S. born parents, or that 1.68 million have this, and 1.17 million have this, and that 1.16 million have this, and that's 73%, and that's 23%, and so on. You want to use numbers in there, but you want to try to use them strategically, and that so that they really make your points and not that they bore the reader into forgetting what it is that you're writing about. So that's what I mean when I say don't write about every single number in a figure. And again, don't take their text, right? If you look at the graph and you're like, I think this is what it's saying, you could use the text to sort of double check it, but I don't want to see people just repeating this report in their blogs, right? I want to see you using some piece of this. This one is a really simple graph. There's just 2 slices of this pie here. So that's probably not something that could be your entire blog's focus, but certainly you may include it, right? And again, you see bar graphs, and I just want to scroll to some maps, right? Different maps that show some of the things that are going on throughout the country in terms of these children of immigrants, right? And so go through there, think about them, think about your readings, choose, I say 1 or 2. Some people might have 3. Certainly if you started with that very simple pie chart and broke it down. There are lots of different topics in here, from family structure to linguistic assimilation or English proficiency, geographic variation, and so on. So there's a lot there, a lot of possible theses based on this. Again, start your blog early, work on it over the course of the week, email me whenever you need feedback or help, or you're not sure about this or you're wondering about that. Send emails.